never had a hero. I learned how to live through the stereo. Coming from where I come from, nothing inferior. Everything you see ain't what it appears though. Everything that I built, made that from zero, then added a zero. I am my hero.
This is one of the first 2 eateries in the world to get a Michelin star. After gaining fame, its owners invested in advertising, in new personnel, in technology, and expansion. And then they created a global network. And this is the world's 2nd Michelin eatery. After gaining fame, his owners never expanded, never improved anything, and almost never changed prices. Who is actually better at the end? Tonight, guys, the battle of the world's coolest fast food. The legendary Singapore hawkers.
Mad savage in me back and I'm backing it up and it ready to blow. I remember doing these with Deji from the street, they left me on my own.
Let's try the spiciest dishes possible. This is red pepper with a tiny bit of chicken added to it. Ouch, it's going to be spicy. Ugh, it's like going to be a challenge. And the strangest ones. Guys, they are selling pig face here. Pig face. We will find out why Singaporeans love pig knees and fish eyes. What it's customary to eat, what to drink, and what to slurp in Singapore. All I want to do is slurp, slurp, slurp. What a kitchen for Singapore's millionaires and billionaires looks like. The floor is all wet, guys. It's like really slippery. That's what it is. I think if Gordon Ramsay saw this kitchen, he would just trash it. I mean, just freak out and leave as quick as possible because there's nothing to be done here. Guys, today we are going to have a tour of Singapore's incredible food. The world's most expensive city is famous for its cheapest Michelin restaurants. We'll be sure to visit them today. It's also famous for its hawkers. They are food courts. But here, you can literally have any kind of food possible. Anything that you can imagine. They are really big, they are huge. It's a real Singaporean phenomenon. Anyway, get your stomachs ready and let's go. I would like to say that this is where the Singaporean began. An ordinary customs post on the coast. An old British seaport on the busiest sea trade artery from Asia to Europe. It's still here now, but in fact, it's not really the same, is it? This coastline is absolutely new. They made it. Originally, it was much further north. And all these high-rises are actually built and filled land. Singapore is actively expanding and claiming land that used to belong to the sea. Singapore is a medium-sized island at the entrance of the Straits of the Malaya. This is what it looked like originally. And this is what it became by the 21st century, adding nearly a quarter of its territory. By 2030, Singapore is supposed to be twice its original size. If you calculate it in percentage, it's the fastest growing state on the planet. And without any conflict. Well, almost any conflict. Since 2014, Singapore is the world's largest importer of sand, which is used to make those artificial parts of the island. Back in 1997, there was a slogan quite popular in Malaysia, saying that Malaysia was being dug up and sold to Singapore. As a result, the Malaysian authorities completely banned the export of sand to the island. Then, Indonesia imposed the same ban. Then, Vietnam. In 2017, Cambodia, which was the last source of land for Singapore. Everything related to the land in Singapore is incredibly expensive. Apartments and houses, cars that need roads, office spaces, industrial buildings. Perhaps for the same reason alcohol is incredibly expensive in Singapore, because a drunk person takes up more space on the sidewalk. And there is one exception. Food. The city of millionaires, Singapore, is famous for its incredibly cheap restaurants. Guys, what do you think that a Michelin restaurant should look like in Singapore? It's like this. It's a restaurant with 1 Michelin star, which is already very, very good. You can trust me on that. This is the legendary Hill Street Tai Hwa. this diner has only 5 dishes. The menu has never been expanded. It never changed at all. Neither have the cooking methods. The kitchen is staffed by members of the same family, no hired chefs. So you'll have to wait for your turn. You can't book a table in advance, so you'll have to wait in line. This Michelin-star restaurant serves Michelin noodles, and there's a rather long line of people who want to eat it. Well, how long is it? About an hour and a half. But there's a life hack. You can actually order the same noodles made by the same restaurant to be delivered to your place by making a phone call, and then no waiting in line for you. You'll find the phone number in the description of the video. But of course, eating local noodles right at the hawker is a treat in itself. There are so many eateries with good food in Singapore that so many people come here just for the food tours. The most common thing to do while waiting in line for noodles is Googling other Michelin star that you can find in Singapore. And there are quite a few here, most of them being simple. You might be able to say street eateries. They're not exactly outdoors here, though they are under a roof. This noodle stand appeared in 1932. It was opened by Tang Jung Teo, an immigrant from China. His 2 sons decided to continue their father's business. The youngest, Tang Chai Chi, believed the business needed to expand, open new outlets, and make money. The elder, Tan Chai Sen, said the quality could be only maintained by doing everything personally. Chi and Sen ended up splitting the business after a big scandal. Their restaurants are called almost identically. Here's the sign for the younger's eatery, Tai Hua, and here's the older's, Tai Hua. Same colors, same dishes. Only the younger one created a large chain of restaurants, made a lot of money, and became famous. The elder cooked in the old kitchen, which almost ruined him in the 2000s. He closed for a while and then published articles like these saying that his restaurant was the real one. But finally, his hard work paid off. And in 2017, Sen, the same elder son, who didn't expand, became one of the world's first 2 Michelin-star diner owners. To his left, Chan Huan Meng. I'll talk about his establishment a little later. Well, Sen, even though he received a Michelin star, the most prestigious award in the restaurant world, decided not to make too much money from it. Look guys, what's going on here with the prices? They've never been changed. The sign right here, as you can see, who knows how many decades ago they put it here, and they never changed it. $6, $8, $10, despite the Michelin stars, despite anything, and they don't even expand the staff here, even though it would seem that they would cook more. Because only family knows how to make these noodles. The recipe is secret. They don't share it with anyone. Here's a picture of the diner 10 years ago, before it received the Michelin star. Look, the only change in prices is the smallest $5 portion, which is gone. They say no one ever bought it. Since 2016, this restaurant has received Michelin stars every year. The exception is in 2020, when no stars were given out in Singapore because of the pandemic. Now it's run by Tan Chai Sen's son, who belonged to the 3rd generation of owners. You have so many Michelin stars.
Yes, yes.
How do you get them every year?
Every year.
The secret is in our recipe and the work of our family.
Yeah.
We maintain standards and buy only the freshest products.
Why don't you raise your prices? How many years have you had $6, $8, $10 here?
I don't remember, but 5 or 6 years for sure. We try to keep our prices as low as possible.
But you can double them and people would still pay, even if the prices are twice as high.
No, we want to be affordable to everyone.
And note that these are Singapore dollars. In US dollars, prices are even lower. I got the main local dish, noodles, with meatballs, bak chor mee. Just look at the trays it's served on. I just feel like I'm back in high school, in the cafeteria, where eating might be dangerous, except it's actually a Michelin star. Let's see what we got here. The secret of bak choy mi is that the noodles are first slightly soaked in black vinegar, and of course, different sauces are added. Each restaurant has its own sauces, and some of the ingredients are of course kept secret. Bak choy mi can be served with or without broth. But when served with broth, this is Singapore's main dish of Chinese origin. I won't even try to add any additional sauces to it, because I think that it's sacrilegious to spoil Michelin noodles with peppers, with soy sauce or something else that the cook himself didn't put in there. This, I think, is seaweed. And here we have pieces of liver. What else do we have here? Chicken. Just chicken. And this dried fish. It's meatball. Oh, meatball. Where are you going? Well, and the noodles themselves. Basically, this soup combines all the dishes that are served at this Michelin eatery. Fish, intestines, meatballs, well, and the noodles themselves. So let's try it. Actually, sorry, it might not look pretty because noodles normally have to be slurped in, like this. In the Asian tradition, especially in Chinese tradition, noodles aren't always twirled in a fork and swallowed, but rather sucked directly from the bowl, and you do it as loud as possible. These sounds are considered a sign of gratitude to the chef. There are plenty of Chinese shows online in which people just suck noodles really loud. The track about noodles by Chinese rappers Chris Wu became the most popular tune of the year in China in 2019. There are a lot of songs written about noodles in general. Oh, the broth is so rich. Okay, I want to sip some more. I'm sorry, I can only imagine what it looks like from your side. Probably creepy as hell. But as creepy as it is, it's just as good. The flavor of the broth is unusual. The broth itself is not spicy at all. What gives this dish its special flavor is the seaweed. And they hydrate it first, which means that all of the moisture out of it. And then they soak it so that it's like seaweed bomb, like a kale bomb. It gives all the juices back. The most delicious thing, of course, is not the noodles, not the various meatballs and the liver that are floating there. No, the best part is the broth. Just look at the broth. Just look at how rich it is. It's just noble brown color. Just imagine one family has been keeping this secret for 90 years. And it's not some posh neighborhood. It's HDB neighborhood. In fact, the name itself, Hill Street, is the neighborhood of the largest HDB in Singapore. HDB is social housing. It's housing for locals, which is cheaper than the housing for foreigners. I told you about HDB in the first video about Singapore. Be sure to watch it. And in the middle of an absolutely ordinary residential neighborhood, you know, a residential building neighborhood of some sort of hood in some part of the US, where everything is supposed to be the cheapest, most common and nothing special, there is a diner here in Singapore that deserves the best noodles, Michelin level noodles. Do you understand? And it's very funny that the owners of this restaurant, that very family, wouldn't raise the prices. They could sell these noodles, now it costs $6 for this huge bucket. They could have sold them easily, well, for at least 20 or actually 60, and people would still buy them. Remember the chef from our video about Thailand? J. Fai, who after receiving the Michelin star started selling tom yum soup for not for $5 like everyone else, but for $45, and the line wouldn't get shorter. It would seem that the city of millionaires in Singapore, you could raise the price tag and earn endlessly. Of course, not all Singaporean chefs are so selfless. You'll soon find out how much money you can make if you really squeeze everything out of a Michelin star. And here, guys, is the sad story about how a Michelin star, in my opinion, can kill a business. The famous Hawker Chan is actually the first street food eatery that a long time ago got a Michelin star, 1 star. Remember that Chan Ho Min, after getting a star at the same time with Hill Street Tai Hwa in 2016, Chan realized he had to seize the moment of glory. First, he realized his name had become a brand and renamed his eatery from Hong Kong soy sauce chicken rice and noodles, a name too long, to an establishment with his name, Hawker Chan. He started giving a lot of interviews. He started an ad campaign for the diner, started starring in numerous commercials, talking about his unique cuisine, and it actually paid off. The lines for his chicken and rice were phenomenal.
And how long do people wait for the chicken now?
About 2 to 3 hours.
Chan even launched a global franchise of his diners, and now they have them in many countries in Asia, the Arab Emirates and Kazakhstan. At the time, Hawker Chan was basically a metal aluminum booth where Mr. Chan, with his 2 hands, cooked the different kinds of poultry. Mostly, it was chicken. After the eatery got the Michelin star and confirmed it several times, of course, the money, a huge amount of it, flowed into this place. And now it's no longer a little aluminum booth it used to be, but just like this beautiful display case, all decorated with Michelin guides, of course, as proof that it is really a cool place. Cool, yeah? It does look more glamorous and like more respectable now, but look at what's happening inside. Inside the place, it's absolutely empty. After this place got all clean, washed up and glamorous, people stopped coming into it, and it stopped getting Michelin stars. The last time they got a star was in 2019. Well, but still, let's go check out the food anyway. Wow, that's great. There's such a nice organized line area here. Look. Large display, electronic sign-in, a gorgeous counter where you get your order. There are numerous bright posters everywhere, reminding us that this is a Michelin star restaurant. I'll have chicken with rice and soy sauce.
Okay.
And Mr. Chan, does he still work here?
Chan who?
Chan who? Isn't he here? Mr. Chan, the owner.
Mr. Chen?
Yeah,
No.
the owner.
He's upstairs. He doesn't work here anymore.
So, friends, I've got here Singapore famous soy sauce chicken and rice by Mr. Chan. Actually, not by Mr. Chan, because Mr. Chan no longer works in the kitchen. He's on the 2nd floor and now only works in the office. The atmosphere here is nothing like the good old Hawkers. Let me put it this way. It feels more like a McDonald's, especially these chairs and these tables right here. Kind of too standardized for my taste. I mean, yeah, it's clean and glamorous. The walls are covered with marble. The floor is literally spotless. The tables are also all clean. It's perfect. The signs, look at how beautiful they are. The TV sets, the TVs with the commercials on them. Let's try the food. Okay, well, let's start with chicken, of course. Look at these pieces. Chicken is first marinated in soy sauce and probably slightly smoked. It's juicy. The chicken, even though it seems to be a breast, is not dry at all. It's juicy. Swedish. It's pretty tasty. I'd even say very tasty for a breast. Could easily get dry. That's great. Rice? The rice is laced with a kind of unusual soy sauce with some herbs in it. It's very fragrant and very spicy. The sauce is delicious. They don't even serve it with sauce separately here. They just pour it in right into the rice. Now I understand why they gave them a star. Wow, look at that. I tasted this accidentally. Actually, I thought it was a peanut. But it isn't a peanut. It actually turns out to be some kind of a bean or a pea or some kind. Anyway, some kind of bean that had been smoked first and they turned it brown like this. Soft. Smoked. Oh, they're great. The only thing I wish I had is something that they would say foamy. That's great. Yeah, this is made to be eaten together like this. These smoked beans and rice, yeah, they go great together. And yet here, if you look around, the tables are empty. There's no line of people waiting at the door. Customers don't even come here anymore because there is no atmosphere. Because yes, the food here is still good, even though Mr. Chan is now working in the office. And in spite the fact that they recruited a huge number of staff, expanded the kitchen to apparently produce the amount of food necessary to feed all the tourists who came here. They killed the whole atmosphere. I mean, we're like, hey guys, we got a lot of money now. Let's expand. Let's get more customers. Let's hire chefs to sell more to get more money. They did all that, got beautiful IKEA tables, got chairs, renovated the place, and nothing. At that very moment, people stopped coming here. Conclusion, guys, Michelin stars are given for something else, not for beautiful renovations, not for a glamorous TV with advertisements for your food, but for the atmosphere. The food is good, the repairs were made for nothing. Sometimes being trashed is a good thing. Let's go. What do you think? Whose way is better? Tang Chang-soon's, who despite his fame remained the owner of a small diner and didn't earn much? Or Mr. Chan's, who grabbed success, created a chain and became a millionaire? Even though he lost his cherished Michelin star at the end, you have to admit, it's not an easy choice. Let me show you a traditional Singaporean breakfast. It basically consists of very simple classical elements. Coffee, eggs, toast, but the way that they serve them is very unusual. The egg in Singapore is broken into a glass. It can sometimes be a simple paper cup like this one here, or it can be a very expensive crystal glass you will find in some expensive restaurants. This breakfast is an amazing combination of all Singapore's colonial history. The egg and the toast are from the English breakfast. The special roasted coffee, called kopi, here is from the Spanish and Portuguese. But inside all of this is Chinese stuffing. The toast here is made with butter and a special slightly spicy spread they put on the bread. This bread is called kaya. It's made from coconut milk with egg, sugar and pandanus leaf, giving the toast a unique flavor and aroma of freshly cut grass. Chinese settlers in Singapore worked for European masters for decades. But when the Japanese took over the island during World War II, the Europeans were forced to flee. And after the war, the Chinese took over many of their businesses, including restaurants, slightly changing the European recipes for Chinese ones. For example, by replacing the jam with that very coconut kaya cream. And then, most importantly, how exactly do you eat it? Toast is broken into pieces, dipped in the egg, stirred like this, and then it goes into your mouth. That's good. Over time, the kaya started to get modified. They add lime and sometimes chili peppers. Some experiment with avocado or beans. All in all, you have a broad field of creativity here. The spread, it has avocado and pepper in it. It's really good. The best part is the crispy crust on the outside. When it soaks in the egg, it gets very tasty. And the toast, look at that, the way they cut it here. First, the bread is toasted, and then they cut it all the way through, just like that, very carefully, so that you put the spread on the soft part of the toast. See? It's not on the toast surface on the bread, where the butter and spread go, but inside of this already thin sliced bread. Because it's the egg that goes on the outside. That's definitely unusual. It's all served with coffee. Good morning. Generally speaking, breakfast with kaya and coffee in Singapore is a must-try. And if you want to dive headfirst into a traditional morning meal of the City of Millionaires, be sure to stop by Hyop Seong Long, where they also add a spoonful of butter to your coffee, a purely Singaporean recipe. Though not everyone will like it, probably, I'll leave the address in the description. However, the main Singaporean restaurants are those famous for hawkers I've told you about. In fact, there are just public canteens that you will find here on almost every corner. The hawker here is almost 100 years old. Maxwell, it was founded in 1928. Imagine, almost 100 years old and not much has changed here. There's still no air conditioning, there's just still fans blowing air under the ceiling. And all of these years, whole crowds of people, both rich and poor, have been coming to eat here. They all sit in the same tables, stand in the same lines, and eat the same food. They just have an incredible atmosphere. Maxwell used to wholesale market where people came for the cheapest food in town. The name hawkers comes from the word hawk. These Singaporean food peddlers carrying boxes looked very much like this bird. They sold that cheap food mostly for these Chinese guest workers. The current City of Millionaires in the early 20th century was populated mostly by male refugees looking for any kind of work. They simply did not have the time to cook their own food. Here's a typical video of Singapore in the early 20th century. Look, they are all men. Look at the boy eating rice from a big bowl just like the adults. Perhaps he works just as hard as they do. And behind him, you can see the girl watching eagerly. Obviously, she may not have enough to eat. Hawker, or communal dining rooms with the cheapest food, have replaced home kitchens for Singaporeans. Till this day, it is not customary to cook in one's apartment. This is a hawker on the first floor of many apartment buildings, and its residents have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. The main advantage of hawkers is the opportunity to try not only food from different chefs, but also from different countries, cultures in one place. Look, there are Chinese, Indian, Malay, Japanese, and Thai tents. Rarely, but there are some with European cuisine too. Some have huge lines lined up, even though they don't have the Michelin stars, and they look like they're selling, well, regular chicken or duck. To be honest, I didn't even think that Asia had so many dishes to offer. However, I am not able to pronounce the name of most of them. The thing is saving me the fact that Singapore is an English-speaking country, and every name has its English translation. Even then, to be honest, it doesn't help much. Much better is the fact that Each dish has a picture of a dish. And you can look at these photos forever until you drown in your saliva. How do you mark your seat at the table at a public canteen in Singapore? You take your phone, throw it on the table, and that's it. No one will take it. They don't steal here. In spite of the huge variety of dishes they serve here, the main traditional Singapore dish is chicken rice. There are real battles around with this dish in the region. So let's start with this. I was told that this is the place where you find the most delicious chicken in town. I'm gonna try it. So guys, here we have chicken rice. The dish is causing real regional war here in terms of who it belongs to. The Chinese consider it theirs. They say it's Hainan chicken rice. The Malaysians think it's theirs, and there have been some very tough political battles between Malaysia and Singaporean authorities about it. But the Singaporeans are sure that they are the ones who invented it. In 2000, the very famous comedy Rice Chicken War was released in Singapore. It was based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
For one night, we hope you can forget this stupid chicken rice war.
And in 2009, this war almost became real when the Minister of Tourism of Malaysia, Ng Yen, said that Singapore and other neighboring countries hijacked their national dishes, including chicken rice from Malaysians. This led to a huge diplomatic scandal, and the minister had to apologize afterwards. In general, the story is almost like with borscht, with lots of people are still fighting about. But let's not fight. Let's try it. It's delicious. You know, my mom used to give me chicken rice with gravy when I was a kid. It reminds me of that. I just now found out that my mom, it turns out, used to feed me Singaporean rice when I was a kid. Let's try the broth. It tastes familiar from my childhood. It's just chicken broth, just regular chicken broth. Anyway, guys, the next time at the canteen somewhere, at school, you or your kids are given chicken broth and slimy rice with chicken meat, which has absolutely no taste. You know you have received a Singaporean dish. You're being given some high-end food, guys. If I would have known, I would have finished everything at school instead of throwing it away. All right, let's go. Let's try something more exotic.
As I travel this road of light, with the road in light, where the slang is engraved with a slavery language, in the streets of babe with the pain of slave ships, still a cement to it, falling stiff to it. How can I never get a fit to it? I see heaven at the end, I'm trying to get to it. Scared to get lost and I admit to it, so I stick to it.
Look, guys, there's seafood, cuttlefish in all sorts of form. I've been told it's kind of spicy. The cook asked me straight out, shall I make it spicy or not? I said spicy. And he looked at me like, are you sure? It looks like you're not one of us. You don't look like one of us. So why are you experimenting then? Here I would say is some kind of fruit on top. Pineapple, I think. There it is, cuttlefish. Look at that piece. It looks like it's uncooked. It's like it's raw. Very tender. But in these hard little veins that make it kind of a tenderness, even more palpable. And it's sweet, thanks to the pineapple. The fish has soaked up the flavor of the fruit. It has a taste of berries. This red sauce here is like a berry sauce. Okay, what is that? Here he's giving me again. No, it's not rice. It's peanuts. Yeah, some kind of berry jam, salted with peanuts with sweet berry jam and cuttlefish. I want to tell you what a great dessert this is. Cuttlefish dessert. Really, it's awesome. Sweet, delicious, dense. Yeah, it's spicy at the end. It's spicy, but not too strong. I would say that this spiciness was worth the look he gave me. The way he looked at me. It's okay. It's cool. Singaporeans usually wash the dishes down with beer and drink it like this. They always drink it from shot glasses or small glasses rather than large mugs. They say you can get drunk with less amount of alcohol that way, since even a small bottle of beer in Singapore costs about 6 or 7 local dollars. According to the World Beer Index, Singapore has the most expensive city in Asia after Hong Kong and the 6th most expensive in the world. Can I have dry beef tendons, spicy chicken, and fish head and chili peppers?
To go or here?
Here.
Yeah.
And now look, guys, at what typical hawker kitchen in a millionaire's town looks like. Rusty faucets, some battered dishware, groceries all dumped in one place. Just look at this kitchen. There's only one light bulb that illuminates everything. The passages are narrow, the floor is all wet. Guys, it's just slippery. There's just a mismatch of stuff underfoot. There's something strange and unappetizing in these bowls. There's something defrosting in the water there.
This don't film. Okay.
Okay, they said not to film this shit. Well, it doesn't matter whether I film it or not. They have the same kind of shit in every diner here.
I'll take the man of the tomb. Yeah, now they all ask what I'm doing. Well, you see it as soon.
Despite the fact that everything in Singapore seems to be highly regulated, including the ban of import chewing gum and littering, the small restaurant owners managed to get protection against the government control for their establishments decades ago. Of course, sometimes inspections do come and check out the place, but very rarely. But the food here is so good, and so the flavor is great. Guys, we're having a feast. I'm even sweating from the size of the portions. Just look at it. Look at the size. The most important thing is that for all of this together, I paid a total of 34 Singaporean dollars, which is about 25 American. The most expensive dish is the fish head right here. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a fish head itself, but actually, it's half of a fish with a head. This monster of a fish is just swimming in the sauce, and the sauce is obviously very, very spicy. And very fragrant. Very spicy. I swallowed it right there. Look at this. It's going to be a challenge. It's very tasty fish, especially with this sauce. It's spicy, but you get used to it rather quickly. Turns out it's not excessively spicy, but only in parts. Let's have a look at the head. First of all, the main thing here is the head. And the head, as you know, the tastiest part is what? This part. That, guys, as you know, the fisheye is the main delicacy of the whole dish. No, it doesn't taste good. It's kind of small. The pupil is too large. No, it's the pupil. It's the eyeball, which is impossible to eat. And the eye itself is not juicy or tasty or anything. Let's try the skin from the head. Let's peel it off. The skin from the head is usually very, very tasty too. And is also considered a delicacy. Okay, skin, come on, don't let me down. Man, all of the main things I took from this dish for, I mean, the fish eye, the skin of the head, are completely unpalatable here. There are too many bones in this fish. The insides of the head are just tasteless. This is an empty fish head. Well, it's actually the insides of the head too. It seems to be some kind of fish oil that the fish has instead of the brain. All in all, the fish itself is juicy, full of fishy flavor. Very cool. Goes perfectly with this spicy sauce. Just perfect. If it weren't for the bones, but the head's not good. Man, I took it because of the head. Let's have a second course. It is this chicken right here. It seems like it wasn't baked together with peppers. It's more like red peppers with tiny bit of chicken added to it. The chicken is fried in oil with a huge amount of chili so that it soaks in the spiciness all the way through. Look at these spices. They are thoroughly fried through as if they were like pork rinds. Should I try one? I think it's very, very, very spicy. Even though the chicken is fried from the outside and well fried, it's soft on the inside. It's juicy on the inside. And it is, well, it's spicy, but it's pleasantly spicy. Man, how juicy it is on the inside. It's so soft. How did they do that? It's hot. It's hot, yeah. I'll suffer the consequences tomorrow. Let's have the next course. Here we've got pig tendons, guys. Such tendons are cooked for hours and sometimes even for several days, so that they become soft, tender, almost like souffle. The juice is dripping from them, or is it fat? It's juice and fat. Or it might be fat, and a little bit of juice, and of course a lot of pepper. Very mild, filled with the flavor of various Asian spices. Ginger, curry, something else in there. I don't even know half of the names of these spices. I don't even know what they're called in Russian or what they look like. Even if they tell me what the names are, I will not understand what it is, but it's very tasty. They say tendons are good for the skin and for the hair. I don't think they help me with the latter. But to try Singapore's fattest and richest dishes, I decided to see Lynn, the person we saw in our video about the Singapore gangs, who led one of the gangs of the legendary Triads. But after a few stints in jail, he decided to completely change his life.
My life is not what it used to be. I have changed it completely. I've given up everything bad and have started all over again.
But it was not so easy to do in Singapore. People with triad tattoos are essentially a separate caste here. Nobody wants to hire them. Nobody wants to deal with them, even if the person has already served time in jail and is absolutely clean.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy.
If you have certain tattoos, it's incredibly difficult to find work in Singapore. They see your skin, they see your tattoos, and they just close the door in your face. It's very difficult to live with tattoos, especially in Singapore. Everyone understands that you have had a criminal past, and no one even wants to get involved with you.
That is, they see your tattoos and immediately say, oh, he's a gangster.
I went to an office once, and they sent me to talk to some guy. He looked at my tattoos and wouldn't even let me in the office. He only saw my face, he didn't want to understand my heart. He saw me and turned me down. He said, sorry, get out of here, we'll call you.
Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat. I'm a threat. Who is your life? You know that it's a threat.
As a result, Lynn got a job at a restaurant run by an ex-convict, just like him. All the employees here are ex-criminals trying to change their lives for the better.
You can try to save yourself, but you only gonna play yourself. You can try to save yourself.
Here, if you do a good job, you get your money. No one is asking about your background. Nobody cares. All you need is the desire to change your life and work hard.
On the back of the t-shirts it says, a new lease of life with the Bakute. Bakute, literally translated as bone tea, is one of the Singapore's most delicious dishes. This is the broth from Bakute. It is cooked for many, many hours. In some restaurants, like for example here, it's cooked for 2 days. Just have a look at these pieces right here. They are juicy beyond belief. Let's take the greens out. We don't eat the greens now. The bone just comes out by itself. Look, the meat just falls off the bone. Look. Oh, look. What great meat. I suspect the most delicious thing about this stew, this leg, is the skin. Just look at this thing here. I mean, it's the tastiest thing possible. If your saliva isn't flowing right now, I don't know, maybe you have a salivary gland problem. You need to get it checked out. The basis of this broth is pork ribs boiled in herbs for a very long time. But the other parts and bones will do too. Despite the name, no tea is added to the broth. But it is customary to eat this soup with tea. It became popular because the Chinese migrant workers needed cheap, high-calorie food, and what could be more filling than boiled pork? I hope you could still hear me, because we're having traditional Singaporean rain outside the window. The downpour here is unreal. It's like taking a shower. And it takes literally 5 minutes. So you're walking, everything is fine, the sky is clear, and in 5 minutes, the shower is on. Then, though, in 15 minutes, it can be over. Anyway, I hope you can hear me. About half of the dish is actually skin in the fat that is under the skin. But this one doesn't feel like fat at all. It feels like some kind of butter that you eat. In general, a soup worth coming to Singapore for. Totally worth it. And it has even changed someone's life.
I used to think that money was something to kill for. Now I realize it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. I realize that the only thing that matters is freedom. Money can't buy real freedom. And freedom is what's important to me now.
I'm wondering, which of these should I try? What do you think?
Just a bit of everything.
Every single one? I'm afraid I won't be able to fit everything in me.
You can do it. It's delicious.
Asian cuisine is interesting because it makes delicacies from what is neglected in the West. There are dishes made of pig's legs with hooves, intestines and ears, duck heads, bird's feet and necks, and so on and so much more. Guys, they are selling a pig face here. A face of a pig. It's like a separate dish. The main seasoning for these dishes here is called mala. It is a mixture based on Sichuan peppers, which, by the way, is not a pepper. It is the fruit of the Xanthoxylum tree. It's both spicy and tangy. It also creates a sensation on the tongue, something like a burning sensation from a soda or a light electric shock. This is caused by a special substance in the composition called hydra-alpha sanshool. They say you can even get addicted to it. Should I take the dishes with the mala or the 5 peppers?
Mala. Mala is spicier.
Mala is spicier, right?
Yeah,
Is the mala very spicy?
it's okay. You'll get over it.
Okay.
Friends, I've got a pig's face in this bag and a duck's foot. I couldn't just walk by and not try it. Look. It's a pig snout. As you might have guessed, it looks pretty appetizing. Well, it hurts to bite it, of course, but I have to. It's soft. It's tender. Very, very tasty, and kind of smokes a little bit. So nice. In addition, the pig's face, I was advised to take a duck's foot. It certainly doesn't look very appetizing. It looks to me like this foot is trying to show us something. Or maybe this finger goes here. This one. So, no, yeah. Hell, I'm making the duck's foot slip us off. I think I'd rather start eating. So, it's duck's foot and spicy sweet sauce. First of all, there's almost nothing to eat here. Only some bones. Oh, second. I've swallowed a spicy piece. Yeah, it's much spicier. It's so much spicier. Mala was actually okay. It's hardly spicy at all. Okay, this one is much spicier. Like, you can't feel any other flavor. Just spiciness. My whole mouth is on fire. My throat here is just hurting already. But like with any spicy food, as soon as it gets you just a little bit, you want to eat more. Well, at least that's how it is with me. I don't know if that's the way it is in your case, but write in the comments. Guys, it was certainly an amazing and unforgettable culinary journey. My insides are still on fire. All the things I have tasted, most of all I liked. The tendons, and I think the knuckle. And most importantly, I realized that you don't have to have a Michelin star in order to feed people delicious food. And do it beautifully and with love. And what did you like? What would you make at home? Subscribe to the channel and we have a new video about Japan coming soon. We're on our way. Let's go.